Alright, gotta get this done. Let's do this. Gotta get it all out. Let's go. I'm excited. Are you excited? I'm excited. I've been asked by no one really to give a pitch, a Batman pitch. My pitch is to totally revitalize, reboot, revamp Batman by retelling one of his most famous and revered stories of all time, Knightfall. just bear with me here because this is all going to come spilling out and it's going to be crazy. And I hope, like, at the end of this, you're going to arrive at where I arrive at. Because, see, not many people get Batman. Not many people understand him. He doesn't get a lot of respect. He is, like, the only superhero without powers. And that tends to confuse and, I don't know, like, alienate people. I'm just hoping that this pitch, this tale of triumph and tragedy and, like, everything in between will just show you just how cool and how awesome Batman can be. You can break the man, you can break the hero, but you can never break the Bat. Okay, so we open in Gotham, of course. Batman's swinging around, patrolling for crime like he always does. And the important thing to remember here is, when this story takes place, Batman hasn't been Batman for a long time. This is, like, right at the beginning of his career. He's only had, like, 3 Robins. No, 4 Robins. 4, because Jason Todd died several years ago. Dick Grayson, Nightwing, is off somewhere else, leading the Teen Titans. Actually, I think they're called the Titans. I always thought Teen was kind of lame. So currently, Batman is only training 2 Robins. He's training Tim Drake and Damian Wayne. He's still a little leery about what happened to Jason Todd, so he's only training 2. And they're both called Robin. You know, maybe Tim is Robin 1 and Damian's Robin 2. I don't know. I'm not going to get into it that much. Oh, Batman is also a little down, a little depressed. He just broke up with Catwoman, so he's kind of in a dark place spiritually. Oh, and finally, the Joker hasn't been seen in years. Batman's almost forgotten about him. Remember that. That will be important later. So anyway, Batman's swinging around, patrolling for crime, but little does he know, he's in the sniper sights of an all-new villain, Bane. See, this takes a little explaining to do. Like, I know Bane was originally, like, a Mexican wrestler or something, but that doesn't really work for me. So, like, here, he's a sniper. He uses guns. He can still, you know, use the old fists and stuff, but guns. You know, he's kind of like that other Batman villain, Deadshot. I guess I've kind of combined Bane and Deadshot into one guy, but this is the first time we're ever meeting him, so, you know, it's okay. I kind of call him Bane Shot in my head, but, you know, for the sake of this pitch, I think I'll just keep calling him Bane. So Bane Shot has Batman right in his sights. I will break you, Batman. I will break you with a single bullet. Bane Shot fires, shoots the bullet, it zooms straight towards Batman, who's still just swinging around. But just before the bullet hits, Batman, like, kind of senses it, because, you know, he's Batman, right? And he manages to twist just so the bullet goes right by him and hits the line he's swinging from instead. But like I said, you know, Batman's kind of off his game. He's still all messed up from breaking up with Catwoman. He has so much guilt over letting Jason Todd die that he can't stop himself from falling. Batman falls, slams into the edge of a skyscraper, falling, smashes through a fire escape, falling, bounces off the side of a building, falling. Batman lands directly on his back in an alley on a trash can. He squashes it as it lands, but it's enough. So Batman's lying there. He can't move. There's blood squirting out of his head and his back. He's paralyzed. He's in a coma. And Bane Shot walks into the alley, and he reaches down, and he takes Batman's belt. This is a trophy to prove that I broke the Bat. And Bane Shot turns and just walks away. So soon, Tim and Damian, the 2 Robins, they come and they find Batman in the alley. They manage to get him up and back to the Batcave where Alfred is waiting to administer medical attention. Oh, important bit about Alfred. He has a cane. He limps. He's been limping for years. Remember that. That's going to be important later. So Alfred diagnoses Batman, Bruce Wayne, and says he's got a broken back and he's in a coma. And Tim and Damian are like, oh crap, what are we going to do now? See, Batman's been training both of them to take his place, and they know that Gotham has to be protected in his absence. So they're like, well, one of us is going to have to be Batman. But also, Tim and Damian have never really gotten along. They're getting kind of heated with each other. And they decide that the only way to decide who's going to be Batman is to fight. So Tim and Damian fight, and it's a huge fight. It's not very long, though. It's only like 3 or 4 issues. And Batman's trained them so well that they are equal. They can't hurt each other at all. All their skills just nullify each other's. Finally, someone stops them. Who stops them? Batman. He came out of his coma. He sensed them fighting when he was in the coma, and he just gets up and he says, "Stop this madness now." So the Robins, they stop fighting, and they're like, "We're sorry, Batman, but we have to decide who's going to take your place while you're, recovering from this broken back." And Batman just smirks and tells them, "Neither of you will be Batman. I've called a special friend over. I've had a backup plan in place ever since I became Batman for just this situation." And out of the shadows of the Batcave steps Jean-Paul Valley, Azrael. For those of you not in the know, Jean-Paul Valley, he's Azrael. That's his superhero name. He was a former assassin. He's got skills like on par with Bruce Wayne and Batman. So in this story, like here, he's like an old friend of Batman, and Batman like set this in motion like years and years ago. He told Jean-Paul, Azrael, that if I should ever fall in battle, you will become Batman and protect Gotham in my absence. And because Azrael is such an honorable guy, he agrees to this because maybe, I don't know, Batman saved his life at one point. In whatever case, Azrael's here, and he's not happy about it, but he agrees to be Batman while Bruce goes and searches with Alfred for a cure to his broken back. So we get this big reveal of Azrael's new Batman costume, which is all black and like blood red, and it's got claws and all these sharp points. And if you think this sounds ominous, well, man, hang on to that feeling. So as like a quick epilogue to Act 1, we see Bane-Shot reporting into a mysterious, shadowy figure. Now, this is Bane-Shot's boss. He is the one who told him to shoot Batman. Bane-Shot hands the belt over to him, and the guy steps out of the shadows, and it's Hush. Now, I know this is still early, and Batman hasn't even met Hush at this point in his career, and I know he secretly turned out to be like Two-Face in the comics, but here, Hush is going to be a totally new character. He's a new guy. He still looks the same with all the bandages and the coats and the... So Hush looks at the belt, and he smiles under those bandages of his, and he looks at the reader and says, Act 1 is complete. So, Bruce Wayne and Alfred, they get in a plane, and they take off for some, like, Middle Eastern country or something. Bruce knows he has to go see Ra's al Ghul, his old mentor, so he can heal his back. And all this time on the plane ride, like, Alfred seems a little, I don't know, withdrawn, like, distant from Bruce. So Bruce asks him, like, "What's up, Alfred? What's wrong?" And Alfred's like, "Oh, nothing, Master Wayne, stiff off a lip and all that." And Bruce drops it for now, but, he can tell something's bothering Alfred because, he's a detective. He can just sense it. Meanwhile, back in Gotham, Azrael is making major waves. Like, he's beating the shit out of, like, these criminals and stuff. He breaks into the mayor's office, and he grabs the Penguin. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention, at this point, the Penguin is the mayor of Gotham City. So he grabs Mayor Penguin, and he's like, "Not gonna be able to hide behind the legal system anymore, Cobblepot." And he punches the Penguin right in the face and breaks his nose. Then he picks him up and throws him off the rooftop of City Hall. And the Penguin's like lying there on the steps of City Hall, like bleeding. And he's like, "Have mercy, Batman! Have mercy!" "Mercy, Penguin? This Batman has no mercy." So Azrael swings off with everyone there around like Penguin's like broken and bleeding body. And Commissioner Gordon's there. And he noticed something. "This Batman." Azrael said, "This Batman." So Gordon's a smart cookie, and he puts together that this must be a new Batman, a different Batman, who doesn't play by the same rules as the old Batman. So he goes and he puts a police warrant on this new guy. Capture Batman, dead or alive. Now, the two Robins have been hanging around, and, Damian, he's kind of violent, so he's really digging, like, Azrael's M.O., but Tim Drake, he's not really feeling it. See, Tim understands Bruce, and he understands what it means to be like a protege of Batman, much better than Damian does, so he doesn't really approve of Azrael's methods. So he calls Nightwing, Dick Grayson, before Azrael does something even worse. And Dick, I mean, he looks on Tim like he would a little brother, and he tells him he'll be in Gotham again as soon as he can. But story-wise, that probably won't be for another 8 or so issues. Meanwhile, Bruce and Alfred have arrived at their destination. This foreign country, it's the birthplace of Ra's al Ghul, and Bruce goes to this mysterious temple alone to meet with Raz and see if he can get his broken back fixed. And Raz greets him and he's like, "So, you've finally returned to me, my son." See, Bruce left Raz and his followers behind because he thought their teachings were too extreme, too extreme. They didn't follow the path of justice. So he's only going to Raz as a last resort for his broken back. And Raz says, "Yes, I can heal you, Bruce, but for a price." And Bruce asks him, "What is this price?" And Raz smiles, and he motions behind him, and suddenly from behind these curtains, this beautiful young woman is revealed. This is my daughter, Talia. Now, in my story, this is the first time Bruce has ever met Talia, so he's pretty, thunderstruck at this point. She's really pretty. I mean, it's almost like love at first sight. But he's Batman, and he's got his discipline, so he has to keep that poker face up, and he asks, what Raz wants of him. And Raz smiles and says, "You must wed my daughter and become my heir. Do this, and I will heal your shattered back." Now Bruce is torn. He doesn't want to get married. He's got too much pain inside him that he can never share with another person. And besides, he's still getting over breaking up with Catwoman. But he knows he has to heal himself, so he agrees to the marriage. Now, back in Gotham, Baneshot is summoned by Hush to meet. Hush has heard of this new Batman. He wants to test him. He wants Baneshot to try and break this Batman too. And Baneshot's only too happy to try and get another trophy. So, Dick Grayson hasn't arrived in Gotham yet, but Azrael is out of control. What's even worse is that Damian's joined in with them. They're brutalizing criminals, almost murdering people. In fact, Damian's even changed his costume to look more like Azrael's Batman costume. It's all black and blood red, and Damian's calling himself Red Robin now to differentiate himself from Tim Drake. So the two of them return to the Batcave for the night, and Tim Drake is waiting for them. He looks at them both. He gives them the same bat glare that Bruce would give. "You guys are out of control. You're not following Bruce's teachings anymore." And Damian's like, "Bruce doesn't go far enough, Tim. You know it." And Jean Paul is like, "I don't need your approval, Tim Drake. You're fired. Batman only needs one Robin." And Tim just stares at them, and he takes his mask and his cape off, and he throws them on the ground. Walks out without another word. Suddenly, the bat signal shines in the sky. Azrael and Damian have to leave the cave again, go to police headquarters immediately. But little do they know, they're being stalked, hunted by Baneshot. Back overseas, Bruce gets brought into some giant underground cavern by Raz and all his followers. He's directed to this big green pit of liquid in the center of the room. And Raz points to it and he says, "This is the Lazarus Pit, Bruce. It can heal any injury." And Raz reaches out, and a servant puts something in his hand. "This is a ring that symbolizes your commitment to my daughter. Place it on her finger, and I will allow you to use the Lazarus Pit and heal your injury." So Bruce takes the ring in his hand, and he gently turns and looks at Talia. They lock eyes. Now, Talia feels the same way towards Bruce now. She's fallen in love with him, with this mysterious, handsome stranger at first sight. She can't wait to be with him. And Bruce slowly walks over to her to put the ring on her finger. Suddenly, the whole cavern shakes. It's an earthquake. Everyone's getting shifted all over. Everyone's falling over. But finally, it stops. Raz gets up and he's like, "Yes, this area is known for earthquakes, much like your Gotham City. But it's past now. Let's carry on with the ceremony." So Bruce nods, and he walks over to Talia, and he puts the ring on her finger, and he touches the side of her face, and he kisses her. Raz smiles, and he proclaims, "This marriage has been blessed in the eyes of the gods." What's more, Bruce can now use the Lazarus Pit to heal himself. Bruce is strapped down onto a table and lowered into this pit of green liquid. Talia watches with apprehension as her new fiancé is dunked into this stuff. The table comes back up. Bruce Wayne gets up the table and stands up straight. He's healed. The one true Batman can return. "Ah, but first," says Raz, "there has to be a wedding." And Bruce smiles back at Roz and says, "Oh, must there?" So Roz gets a little confused. He gets a little angry. He's like, "What are you talking about? You gave me your word. You put the ring on her finger. You have to marry her." And Bruce, he just. I'm sorry, I just love this part. Bruce says, "Why don't you take a look at that ring, Talia?" And Talia looks at the ring, and it's a toy Cracker Jack ring. So Ra's al Ghul is all pissed. He's like, what the hell is this? And Bruce, he takes the real ring out of his pocket, and he flicks it at Raz. Damn. So Raz catches the ring, and he's like... See, Batman switched the rings when the earthquake happened. And Raz is like, but... And Batman says, "I knew I had to outwit you to get out of this marriage, Raz. That's why I had Alfred fire a minor tremor-causing rocket at the cavern from outside to create a distraction." So we cut outside, and Alfred's like hovering around the cavern with the Batcopter. And back inside, Bruce is like, "I could never marry someone I just met, Raz. Your plan has failed." And Raz, he's like pissed. He's like to his followers, like, "Get him! Get him!" And this is where we get to see like the reborn Batman, like... kick ass. He beats up all of Raz's followers by himself. And it shows you that Batman or Bruce Wayne doesn't need his costume to like kick ass. So Raz attacks Batman with a sword, but then he trips and falls into the Lazarus pit. No! See, the pit only heals injured people, so when a healthy Raz falls into it, it does the opposite. It's magic or something, I don't know. So Raz sinks into the Lazarus pit while Talia above watches horrified. "Avenge me, daughter! Avenge me!" At this point, Alfred's managed to get the Batcopter into the cavern, so Bruce leaps aboard it and they take off. And Talia, she just watches. She just watches with these eyes, these crazy eyes, as Bruce takes off and leaves, and you just know that she's going to be a problem for him down the line. But enough about that. Bruce and Alfred are flying, they're home free, they're headed back to Gotham, but Alfred, he kind of still looks sad for some reason. So Bruce is like, "Oh, what's wrong, Alfred? Are you sad I didn't get married?" "No, sir, it's nothing like that." Bruce knows that something has been bothering Alfred for a long time, but he's just too pro to like come out and ask him. And besides, there's more work to be done. See, before he went into that cavern, Bruce got a message from Tim Drake. He knows that Azrael has gone nuts in Gotham, and he has to get back there pronto and restore Batman's good name. And he and Alfred fly into the horizon as we end Act 2. Okay, so we're back in Gotham. Azrael and Red Robin have just landed at police headquarters, but the only thing on the roof is like the lit up bat signal. So that they're looking around and they're like, "Where's Commissioner Gordon?" And suddenly, they have the sound of dozens, hundreds of police officers surrounding them, pointing guns at them. "Batman, this is Commissioner Gordon. Surrender and put your hands in the air. You're under arrest for obstruction of justice." Azrael looks up and he sees Commissioner Gordon with a bullhorn yelling at them. Damian, he's all pissed. He's like, "We've been set up." And Azrael, he yells up to Gordon. He says, "Obstruction of justice. We serve justice." And Gordon yells back, "The real Batman would never stoop to the heights of violence you've reached." And this really pisses Azrael off because he always secretly thought that Bruce Wayne was too soft as Batman. "That Boy Scout's gone for good. Now I'll show you how we handle things." So Azrael, he looks at Damian and he nods. And Damian nods back. Then they set up smoke bombs so the police can't shoot at them, and they zip line up and away. And Commissioner Gordon's like, "Shoot to wound! Shoot to wound!" So the cops, they're all shooting up where they think Azbats and Red Robin have gone, but they're wrong. They're behind the cops now. And Azrael and Damian, they go to town on the cops. They beat up like half the entire force before they even realize they're there. So Azbats and Red Robin, they're just standing there surrounded by unconscious cops. And Commissioner Gordon is like standing across the way with maybe like a dozen cops left, and they're all still aiming guns at them. And Gordon's like still trying to like plead with them. "Please, please don't do this. If you wear the mantle of the Bat, you know your ways are wrong." And Damian, little asshole Damian, he looks up at Commissioner Gordon and is like, "You're the one who's wrong, old man." Damian, I love Damian. I'm gonna make him such a little asshole. Now, this is a pretty tense standoff, but all of a sudden, Baneshot appears. He jumps down behind Gordon and his cops. "Gotham's finest. They are nothing to me." And Baneshot just slaughters them all before they even know they're there. He, like, guns them all down in front of Batman and Robin. Azrael shouts. He didn't really want the cops dead. He just wanted them, like, badly beaten up. But he's like, no! I think this is a pretty important moment, too, because it shows, like, Jean Paul isn't so bad of a guy. So Baneshot shot all the cops. They're all dead, except for Gordon. He only took a shot to the leg. And Baneshot reaches down, and he picks up Gordon by the back of the head and holds him up in front of Jean Paul and Damian. What is this old man's life worth to you? And Azrael and Red Robin are torn. They're used to, like, just leaping in and beating people up. They're totally unprepared for this kind of situation. Even Damian, like, despite being a little asshole, he really likes Commissioner Gordon. He doesn't want him to die. Unfortunately, Bane's not going to give them the chance to decide what to do. He takes his hand, which is still holding a gun, and he stabs Commissioner Gordon right in the base of the spine with it. And Azrael and Red Robin are like, holy shit! Baneshot fires the gun, it blows a bunch of vertebra out of Gordon's stomach, and then he picks Gordon up and throws him down into the bat signal, which is still lit, by the way. And Gordon lands on his back right where he got shot. The bat signal shatters into pieces on impact. But for the briefest of instants, before it shatters, the citizens of Gotham can see an image of a broken and dying man cast over their night sky. Back on the rooftop, Azrael goes batshit insane and attacks Baneshot. Like, seriously, he attacks him like a wild bat would. He's screaming and clawing at Baneshot, and Baneshot is totally unprepared for this. Meanwhile, Damian's trying to help Commissioner Gordon up. Gordon's barely conscious, there's blood spilling from his trembling lips, and he looks at Red Robin, and he says, "Boy wonder, I can't feel my legs." So Azbats is totally tearing Baneshot a new one, and Baneshot realizes, holy crap, I've gone too far. Baneshot takes out his sniper rifle, the same sniper rifle he used to break Bruce Wayne's back with. I've broken one bat's back, I can break another. Before he can fire it, though, Azrael leaps up and shoots Baneshot in the face with a flamethrower he had built into his new costume. And Baneshot's screaming in agony, he's flailing around, his mask's on fire, he's screaming, he can't see! And Azrael tears the sniper rifle out of Baneshot's hands, raises it over his head, and shoves it straight through the top of Baneshot's skull. Azbat shoves the sniper rifle so violently through the top of Baneshot's skull that it comes down and out of Bane's asshole. Not another word is spoken. Baneshot's skewered body just falls to the ground, and Azrael walks away. We see now in another location, Hush is watching this all unfold through some, like, security cameras he hacked on the rooftops. And he just kind of watches and he smiles under those bandages of his and he says, "Well, didn't see that coming." Meanwhile, Bruce and Alfred have finally arrived back in Gotham City. Tim's waiting in the mansion for them, and Dick Grayson has finally gotten there too. They're watching everything that has happened on the news, and they bring Bruce back up to speed for what he missed. And Bruce is a bit shaken, but since his back is healed now, he's got his confidence back. This madness has got to end. I gave Azrael that responsibility, but now I know I may have been wrong. And Dick and Tim, they're just so happy their mentor is back in fighting form. And Dick's like, "I never lost faith in you, Bruce, and that's why I had this made." Dick unveils a new Batman costume for Bruce, and it's all black and it looks hardcore. It's like you can't even see any eye holes or the mouth hole or no symbol. It's like so black and sleek. That's how like fucking sleek it is. And Bruce gets back in the costume and there's this kick-ass like 2-page spread of Batman with Nightwing and Robin on either side of him. They're ready to right the wrongs that have been done in their absence. Batman looks over at Alfred and he says, "Don't wait up, we're gonna go fix this shit right now." And he and Tim and Dick, they get going. So we watch Alfred watch them leave, and as soon as they leave, Alfred walks over to a telephone and picks it up. And Alfred says into it, "They're on their way." And we see a single tear run down Alfred's wrinkled face. So back in Gotham, Azrael has gone a bit unhinged since he's killed Baneshot. He's just killing more and more of Gotham's criminals. We're going to show, like, the corpses of some, like, lesser-known Batman villains, like, lying around, like the Ventriloquist and, like, Lady Shiva and King Tut. You know, all victims of Azbat's murderous rampage. And Damian's, he's, like, following him because he wants to get him to stop. He's starting to see the error of his ways, and he wishes against hope that, like, Bruce would magically come back somehow. Cut to the Batcopter hovering overhead, and Batman and Tim Drake and Dick Grayson all jump down like dramatically. And Damian's like, "What? Huh? How does this even happen?" And Batman, he gives Damian this stern but forgiving look. And he says, "It's all right, son. I'm here." And Damian, little badass, hard-ass, asshole Damian, breaks down in tears and begs Batman for forgiveness. Batman kneels down, and he takes his arms and he hugs Damian. He hugs him like a father would hug his son. Okay, so the Bat Clan is all back together now. Now, all that remains is finding Azrael. And they find Azrael, and he's in the middle of beating Mr. Freeze to death. Now, Mr. Freeze is pretty important, so he's not, going to die or anything, but he's going to be out of commission for, a while after this. I mean, writers won't be able to use him for a couple months at least. Batman sees Azrael just covered in blood, and this rage builds in him. What did you do, Jean-Paul? What did you do? And Azrael turns, and we see this man has lost it. He has just plain lost it. I've done what you could never do, Bruce. I have become the superior Batman. And Nightwing and the others are like, you're no Batman. Batman doesn't kill. And Azrael, he looks at Damian, he looks at Red Robin, and he says, don't you believe in me anymore, Damian? And Damian looks to Azrael, and then he looks to Batman. And then he looks to Azrael again, and then he looks back to Batman, and back to Azrael, and finally back to Batman again. And he says, I believe in Batman. Boom! So Batman and Azrael start to fight. And the others stay out of it, mostly due to respect, but also because they're totally outmatched. They can't win this fight. Batman and Azrael are fighting so ferociously you can barely tell what's happening. It's like shaky cam and all that. Finally, Azrael gets Batman down. He trips him. He's about to stab him with his claws. And then all of a sudden, Azrael gets shot in the head. We don't see it clearly, but Azrael takes a bullet to the head and he topples over the side of the building. And Batman turns, and who does he see? Hush. Oh. And Batman's like, who is this guy? And Hush says, look over there, Batman. And Batman looks to where Nightwing and the others are. And he sees Alfred aiming a pulse rifle at them. And Nightwing and all the others are all confused. They're like, Alfred, what's wrong? What are you doing? And Batman looks over at Alfred and he realizes something. Alfred doesn't have his cane anymore. Remember when I said Alfred's cane would be important? This is that moment. So Nightwing's like the most experienced Robin, okay? Right, so he notices it right after Batman does. Alfred, your cane, your limp, it's gone. And Alfred, he just smiles and nods, and he says, yes, Master Grayson, it is. I've been cured as well. And Hush, he walks over and he stands next to Alfred. Your butler was cured by me. And everyone's like, Alfred, what? How? Why? And Alfred looks at his family. He's in tears. He's like, I'm so sorry, all of you. But I just couldn't live with that limp anymore. Hush offered me a cure, but only if I led you into this trap. I'm so sorry. And the three Robins, they can't believe it. They're like, Tim's like, I can't believe it. And Damian's, he's all pissed off. He's like, Alfred, you betrayed us. And Nightwing's like, I suspected it, but I never thought you'd really do it, Alfred. And Batman, poor Bruce, he's really conflicted, and he's feeling all these emotions inside, but we can't really tell because of the mask. But, you can tell that he's never going to get over this. This is just another scar on his heart that will never, ever heal. So Hush and Alfred have them at gunpoint, and Hush decides this is time for the big reveal. I've been watching you for a long time, Batman. I was the one who sent Baneshot after you. I'm responsible for everything that's happened to you. And Batman, he just kind of looks up at Hush and he says, I know. I knew it had to be some new villain. I'm in tune with this city. I feel its heart, and I knew it had spawned some new hell for me to overcome. And Hush smiles, and he nods. And he says, yes, Batman, but did you see this coming? Hush reaches over to Alfred, grabs him by the throat, and slashes the back of his knee with his knife. Blood's going everywhere. Alfred's screaming. Everyone's like, oh my God. And Hush smiles and he says, now your limp is back, old man. And then Hush turns Alfred around towards him, and before anyone responds, he takes his knife and he cuts Alfred's throat open. Hush looks at Batman's beloved butler and mentor as he bleeds out, and he smiles again under those bandages. And now your throat is gone as well, butler. And Nightwing and the other Robins are like, no! Alfred, Jesus, God, fuck, shit, no! Hush lifts Alfred's bloody corpse over his head and throws it over the friggin' roof. And Nightwing and Tim and Damian, they can't let this happen, so they all run and jump after it. So now only Batman and Hush remain on the roof. And Batman, he's just so torn, so furious, so sorrowful, but he has to rein it all in at the moment. He has to remain focused to defeat this madman. He looks at Hush, and he asks him one simple question. Why? And Hush, he just sort of looks at Batman, and he just sort of tilts his head a little. And he laughs a little, just a little. And he asks Batman, why did the butler cross the road? And Batman, he's a little confused at this moment. He's kind of like, what? And he reasons it out in his head, and suddenly he thinks of something. He repeats what Hush just said out loud. Why did the butler cross the road? Well, that kind of sounds like a joke. Hush takes his hand, he reaches behind his head, and he undoes his bandages. Yes, Batman, a joke. Because I am the Joker. What? Huh? Hush removes all his bandages, and he's really the Joker. You see, Hush was really the Joker all this time. Remember when I said that the Joker had been missing for years? Well, this is where he has been. When Arkham blew up... Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that the Joker went missing when Arkham blew up years ago. When Arkham blew up, the Joker decided to play the greatest joke of all time on Batman. He decided that he would adopt this persona, Hush, and strike at Batman from the shadows where Batman himself dwells. He offered Alfred something he couldn't refuse, the cure for his limp, in exchange for betraying Batman. And he brought Baneshot in from Mexico to break Batman, spiritually and physically. So this new guy, Hush, he's responsible for everything that's happened to Batman in the last year, but it was really the Joker all along. I think this is the moment where your cynical reader will be rewarded. Oh man, it isn't this new character after all. It was really the Joker. We totally didn't see that coming. It's gonna be like M. Night Shyamalan's movies, but in overdrive. So anyway, Batman's still totally calm, though. And he looks up and he looks the Joker in the eye, and he says, yeah, I already knew you were the Joker. And the Joker, he laughs. He has this incredulous laugh, and he says, well, how could you possibly know that? I covered my tracks too well. You don't know shit, Batman. You don't know shit. And Batman smirks, and he says, I know enough not to stand next to a metal weather vane when it's raining out. And... the Joker, he looks to his left, and there's a metal weather vane right next to him. And then he looks up with, this expression. Oh. And then a bolt of lightning flashes from the sky and strikes the Joker. And Batman, he shields his eyes, it's really bright, but then when it's ended, he sees the Joker, lying there in a smoking heap. The Joker is in a coma now, and that lightning strike, it fried all the nerves in his back. See, the Joker is now in the exact same position Batman was at the beginning of the story. He's paralyzed and in a coma. And Batman walks over to him, and he's starting to let his emotions show. Alfred's betrayal is really starting to get to him. He grabs the Joker's body. He lifts it over his head, and he walks over to the edge of the building. Batman looks up at the unconscious Joker, and he says in the scariest voice he has ever talked in, you deserve this, Joker. I have vowed never to kill. But I will break this vow now, for you. And Batman tenses up, and he rears back. And just as he's about to throw the Joker to his death, a hand reaches out and stops him. It's Azrael. He's alive. Batman's stunned, but he doesn't put the Joker down. He just looks kind of looks at Azrael, and he says, Jean-Paul, how are you still alive? And Azrael, he just points at his mask right where he was shot. And he says, the bullet only grazed my skull, Bruce, but more importantly, it jarred me back to sanity. And it's just in time for me to stop you from making a huge mistake. And Batman, he isn't flinching at all. He's like, letting this animal live is the mistake. I'm going to end it. And Azrael says, no, I was the one mistaken, Bruce. The way of the bat is the right way, and I perverted it by killing. I can't allow you to do the same. You need to let the Joker live so we can face real justice. That will be the real victory. Now, we can't tell because of Bruce's new mask, but tears start coming down his face. And he settles down and he puts the Joker down. And he leans on Azrael because he's a little weak and, full of emotion. And he addresses his replacement. I can see that I was Right all along in picking you, Jean-Paul. I knew my instincts were correct. And Azrael, he just kind of looks at Batman with this newfound respect. He's just so impressed that Bruce came back from the edge that at that very moment he changes his entire ideal system and embraces the ideals of the Bat. So right then and there he pledges never to kill again. Now, obviously, it'd be awkward for him to say all that out loud, so we'll just relegate it to some, thought bubbles or something. Or if I think that disrupts, the story flow, I don't know. Maybe I'll just post what Jean Paul is thinking on my Twitter account or something as, a supplement to the actual story. I'm just trying to, set up Jean Paul for, his own book, his own solo adventures. Maybe he goes off and, forms, Batman Inc. or something. I mean, I think that would be a good idea. Anyway, back to the story. Nightwing, Damian, and Tim come back to the roof, and they have Alfred's body. And Bruce and Azrael come over to them, and Bruce looks over his family, and he says with some genuine pride and emotion, "Let's go home." And they do. So then the last bit of the story is just a bunch of loose ends being wrapped up. We see them go to Alfred's funeral. We see Jean Paul riding on his motorcycle off to have his, solo adventures. I think Nightwing's gonna stay in Gotham after this, so he, calls the Titans and he appoints Starfire as the new leader of the team. And, of course, Starfire gets a new respectable costume to make her look less slutty. Then we see, Tim and Damian training together again. They've, buried the hatchet. And finally, we see Bruce at his Bat computer, working, and a hand comes into frame and gives him a coffee. And it's Commissioner Gordon. He's in a wheelchair now since Bane Shot crippled him, but since he can't be a cop anymore, he retired and he became Bruce Wayne's new butler. He's the new Alfred. And he and Bruce smile at each other, and Bruce says, "This is the start of a new era for Batman." And we fade to black. But then we fade back. Okay, now we're in the new Arkham. They just rebuilt it from the ground up in the last couple of weeks since the Joker resurfaced. Because that's just how badass the Joker is. They had to rebuild Arkham to hold him. And we're panning down a hallway, and we hear some laughter down, from the farthest door down the hallway. And we can see that door, and it's marked Joker. And we keep panning closer, 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 closer to the door. The laughter's getting louder, louder, louder. But suddenly, when we get really closer, it's getting softer, softer, softer. And then, right when we reach the placard that says Joker, the laughter stops. And we look inside the cell, and oh my god, this is awesome. The cell is empty. The Joker is nowhere to be seen. But what's that on the floor of the cell? There's something on the floor. And we look down, and what is it? It's a small clump of dirt? No, it's a small clump of clay. See what this does is it totally throws into doubt who the Joker was again. Was it Clayface maybe? Did the Joker just escape? Maybe this is just a red herring? It totally works because it's so random and uncertain and chaotic, just like the Joker. I mean, if it even was the Joker this whole time, we don't know. Maybe we'll find out later. So that was my pitch. That was my pitch to revitalize the Batman franchise. I think it would really grab people's attention again, and it would be really extremely friendly to newer fans who might not be as familiar with Batman as I am, Thank you for listening. I mean, this all sprung, this mad genius all sprung directly from my head. I mean, it's all original. It's an original idea. Seriously, without you guys, I mean, great ideas like this would never see the light of day. So, what you guys need to do is, spread this around, because this is a Batman story that I think needs to be told, and I think it would just drum up some interest in Batman again, just get him back in the spotlight, because I think he stands up there with those, the heroes, that belong in the spotlight, Spider-Man and Wolverine and Spawn, those guys. Well, thank you for listening, and I have to get back to work. I was in the middle of making some Pop-Tarts for someone, so I've got to get back to that. So, goodbye. Bye. Thank you. Batman! Surrender! Put your hands in the air! Like you just don't care.